everyone. So for a class divided video, some things I found to be interesting or intriguing would have to be kind of in the beginning of the video when she first asked who they treat equally, and the class kind of unanimously responded that they don't treat black people equally, as well as Indians. Another thing I found interesting was how when they got assigned either blue-eyed or brown-eyed, they immediately started blaming people for things, and saying that they weren't as smart, etc. A couple quotes I found to be quite interesting too, in relation to this was when the kid said, it seemed like when we were down on the bottom, everything bad was happening to us, which is a great explanation or analogy for discrimination in general. Another thing as well, he said when you're down on the bottom, you didn't want to do anything, and like I said, another great example of just how tough it is for somebody to want to achieve and fulfill their dreams. When they're being discriminated against, it's tough to do. There was a kid I remembered that kind of draw a conclusion or a parallel to this blue-eyed, brown-eyed, and black people. He said it's like when people call black people the N-word. This was talking about when the kids on the playground were calling him brown-eyed or blue-eyed, etc. Another thing was, and she talked about it, the teacher talked about it, was how quickly these kids can become discriminatory within, she said, in the span of 15 minutes. It's quite scary that this can be the case, but it just shows how quickly this can be ingrained, and this can be taught in kids, and how preaching equality needs to be of the utmost importance. Another thing, I think probably the last thing I found most interesting was how their performance was in the analysis she was doing. When they had the collars on, the performance was a minute slower, whereas when they didn't have the collars on, they were much faster. They were much able to, they could think better, etc. That just showed how detrimental that can be to a kid's learning while in school if they're being discriminated against. Other thing, touch on some pros and cons. The cons I didn't see as too much. There was a couple instances that the kids became violent, which I can totally see and happening. Another thing was it seemed to hurt their self-esteems for even if it was just for a day. And it is a great lesson. It's a way to teach them that this is discrimination, prejudice is not right. But it's she was clearly had to target kids, be it they had brown eyes or blue eyes, to teach that lesson. But it is, you kind of have to tiptoe that line, because that can obviously affect them. But the pros, which I saw, there was mostly pros, was like I said, it taught a lot about discrimination and prejudice, and just how harmful it can be. It really she was able to put things into perspective for these young kids so they could understand, and you can tell that they got it, they understood it, and for the most part, the whole time they understood it. But they really realized that you should not judge people based on the color of their skin, no matter what. I thought it was a very interesting video. I've seen it a few times before in some classes, but like I said, I think it was a really cool video. Thanks.